I'd like to share like a little story, a very, very short story of how I met Tricia. And by the way, if you don't already have her book, I have it here on my iPad, The Influential Voice. I know that we put this up. Hopefully, you guys bought this. Please go buy this if you don't already have it, because it truly was transformational for me, or is transformational for me. And it's has a lot to do with speaking on stage, but it's not just about that. It's so in depth about making yourself a better speaker, having more of an influential voice, that kind of thing, and standing out amongst people. So if you read between the lines like I did, there's so much to take from it. And it brings me to this story. And Tricia, I don't know if you remember this, but when I share this story, I'm sure it'll pop right back up to you. When I first met Tricia, we were at an event with my good buddy Giovanni Archangel, and she was sitting at a table. I sat down beside Tricia. We started talking a little bit because she was about to go on stage. I think the next speaker, whatever it was. And anyway, we just started talking, and then she mentioned her book, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go buy this thing like right now. And so I pick up my iPad and I go to purchase this book, and Tricia was and is still is the most engaged person I've ever met in my life. And there's an important reason I tell you this, because back in 2014, I was learning how to be more engaged, more present. I learned it from Brennan Burchard. He was the first one who brought it up. He said, you got to be more present with people. And because I'm ADD, it's even harder. But I'm telling you, Tricia was instrumental of being engaged. I've never seen anybody, Tricia, I don't know if I told you this before, of being so engaged. Here's what I mean by this. I took a little bit of time to try and find the book. And normally if somebody's doing something, you might be looking elsewhere, doing other things. Tricia was fixated. She never took her eyes off of me. And I noticed that even the corner of my eye, and I'm like, Tricia made me feel like I was the only person in the room. And I really wanted to honor you, Tricia, for that. I don't know if I ever told you that, but that is part of what I believe you're all about as well, and how to make an influence with somebody else or speaking. Does that resonate with you? Like, am I on the right track about anything along those lines about what we're going to talk about today, Tricia?
For sure. I really appreciate you sharing that story, Joey. I remember that moment sitting at that table at that event. And it is something that I take very seriously when it comes to my work. And being an influential voice means your interaction with anybody, anywhere, not just from stage. And so I try to show up as an influential voice when I'm sitting at a table with you and you're looking for my book, or when I'm at the checkout counter at the grocery store, or I'm buying a coffee from the barista. It's so easy to make eye contact and to be present. And the impact of that goes beyond what we can imagine. And so I appreciate you reflecting that and acknowledging that. And I'm really glad you felt like the only person in the room at that moment.
100%. I have to tell you, it's not because you're here right now. Like, truly, that has been the most, the most spotlighted moment of someone looking at me ever. I've never felt that way before. And we were in a room of 1,000 people or so. And I was like the only person in the room. And so I really honor that. And I want you to talk a little bit more about how we can become more present and what we can do to engage and help people understand that they are very important to us.